Hey, what is up guys? So I know it's been a while since the ban list came out, but I figured my analysis could still provide a different perspective on what you guys might think about it. I was actually intending to release an analysis video a week after the release of the ban list. The only problem was when it came to recording and exporting the file, somehow after transferring it onto my computer, which earlier I recorded it with my phone, it just didn't work somehow, and I don't know why. So this is actually a re-record of what I pretty much already talked about, because that other video or other recording pretty much just didn't work. So yeah, let's just get started. I think a lot of time has definitely passed now, giving us a really good indication as to how the format has actually developed. So obviously starting off, we have Harp Horror being banned. Definitely a very appropriate card to hit, because even at this particular point in time, Orchists are still extremely strong. They have replaced it with Brass Bombard, and that card has actually worked wonders for the deck. The only problem is that obviously the deck is much slower now without the Harp Horrors, but even then the deck is still one of the top tier decks out there to still contend against. So going to be very interesting to see how things develop there. However, speaking of top decks, we also have Thunder Dragon Colossus being banned. This card was pretty much one of the key cards for Thunder Dragons, and seeing it completely hit is unfortunate for them, but the thing is this: you want to get rid of top tier decks, you're going to have to be a little more harsh in terms of hitting the key cards, and I think having both Harp Horror and Colossus go to 0 is an appropriate way to pretty much just phase out of these top tier decks and allow newer decks to take over the format. That being said, we also have Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. This card getting hit, kind of unfortunate because it was already at 1 anyway. The only problem is now that it's completely gone, it does take away from a lot of other decks. I know that Pendulums are decent in the formats previously before it was banned, but with Electromite completely gone, it does make it really unfortunate for actually other decks that utilize Electromite. So there's no more Pendulum DDDs, so that's kind of unfortunate. And even then, Pendulum decks in general that aren't particularly strong, like Dino Mists, they unfortunately can't do anything anymore. However, moving on, we also have Ib, the World Chalice Justiciar. Very important card that I actually utilized in World Chalice, as well as a lot of different decks to allow myself to search out World Legacy's Guard Dragon or World Legacy Succession, and seeing it completely banned, very unfortunate. Because the thing is this, I understand if it was hit to 1, but most decks did play at 1 anyway, so it wouldn't have made too much of a difference. But seeing it completely banned was sad. However, considering the new and upcoming Master Rules, that could definitely make it a lot more crazy. So seeing it get hit, it will be sad. I will miss it because it didn't have that much of a long run, but even then, it totally makes sense. Of course, moving on, we also have Tempest Magician to pair up with the Electromite, pretty much as part of Pendulums. One of the easiest ways to just burn your opponent, finish your opponent off. So seeing it get hit, I mean, it makes sense. Konami's been trying to get rid of OTKs or FTKs a lot more often now, so seeing this get hit, I really don't mind. Of course, we have Azathoth. Now, the reason why Azathoth was actually banned was because Phantom Knight's launch actually came back. So if Phantom Knight's launch was still banned, then there was no reason to hit Azathoth. But considering that launch is coming back, which gives more viability to more decks, Azathoth definitely had to be hit, and I think that's a good choice because obviously Azathoth is the direct problem we're talking about here, and seeing it being hit is definitely very appropriate. Moving on, we have Mirage Stelio, Salamangreat's also one of those top tier decks, and just like I said, Konami wants to phase out all of these to allow new decks to actually take over the top tiers. As a result, Mirage Stelio getting hit, definitely a very big hit, but luckily we still have Signet Mining at least. Sadly, we only have one Gazelle and one Circle from the previous list hits, and I wish they came back since Mirage Stalio is now gone, but at least with Mirage Stalio gone, it gives me a bit of room to actually put in Pyro Phoenix now, so do expect some deck profiles for that. I'm still trying to get myself Signet Mining, but I know that it's being reprinted in Dual Overload, so looking forward to getting it. Moving on, we also have Brilliant Fusion for the spells. It was limited, but now it's banned. Very unfortunate, because this definitely weakens my World Chalice deck. Both having Ib and Brilliant Fusion gone is very sad. However, moving on, we also have Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage. Again, just hitting off the top tier decks so that we don't have to deal with them anymore. They've had too long of a run, and seeing Engage finally be banned completely, I mean, it's great. But that being said, Sky Strikers, I still see them play a lot, because obviously Kagari has come back to 3 now, so definitely very interesting there. But that's it for the Forbidden list, so let's now move on to the limited section. So we have Danger Nessie, was semi-limited. Honestly, not too big of a difference there. It's mainly her effect specifically that needed to be, I guess, held back a bit, so seeing it get limited, not too big of a deal. Pancratops, that was definitely a very odd choice for it to actually be limited. You know, it was, yeah, it's just, it still boggles my mind as to why it's even hit, because it's not too bad of a card. I mean, you summon it out, you pop cards. If anything, I think Phantasme is a bigger problem than Pancratops. So it definitely is a weird card to hit, but you know, I can't complain about it anyway. It is a side deck card, so it's not going to be a big loss for many decks. Moving on, we also have Servant of Endymion. Obviously, as part of the top tier decks, you want to limit them back a bit, hold them back, and seeing Servant get hit, kind of unfortunate, because I do play Pendulums myself. But that being said, I do totally understand why they would hit Servant. Of course, moving on, we have Lithosogym. A lot of you guys are really happy now, because obviously with it being forbidden, for it to come back to 1, definitely very nice, because obviously that gives us plenty of viability in Earth decks, so very excited to actually play Lithosogym again in all these different decks. However, that being said, one thing I have to be sad about is Dragonic Diagram, because Dragonic Diagram, you know, going to 1 is definitely a big deal. It's the main searcher for the True Kings, but of course, Diagram is meant to power up True Dracos as well, and True Dracos have actually been one of those returning rogue decks that have just been really annoying this format, so it makes sense for it to be hit. It's just a shame, considering that the trade-off wasn't too great. If Lithosogym came out to maybe 2 or 3, that would be a better trade-off, but for now, we can only hope that either Diagram comes back completely or Lithosogym comes back completely, and I think it's the latter half. Next card we also have, I actually skipped over this, Card of Demise getting hit. Again, similar case for True Dracos. They were just getting too much benefits of it, so seeing it being hit makes sense. Into the Void, again, another draw card. Been actually getting more expensive before it got banned, so seeing it get hit again, or rather hit for the first time to 1, at this point its purpose is to serve itself as an Upstart Goblin, and it's the same reason for why Upstart Goblin was hit as well to 1. However, a lot of cards you guys want to actually rejoice upon is Pot of Avarice. Very nice card to actually come back. It's going to be very exciting to see what we can actually do with Pot of Avarice. It's getting reprinted in the Shadell Structure deck, so very excited to get that. But that being said, Pot of Avarice is definitely going to be a very fun card to try out in many decks. Very interesting, considering it's also a draw too as well, so I hope there's no errata. Next we have Sekka's Light, hitting it to 1, makes sense. I mean, it's so annoying taking on BAs. Look, BAs, I never saw them as a strong deck, but I don't really like seeing them in the format too much, just because it's one of those tedious decks to take on. You know, not to say that it's strong or anything, but at least with Sekka's Light, this will deter more people away from playing BAs. Next we have Red Reboot, the final card of the limited list. What I'm kind of disappointed is with the list in general is the whole hit on Red Reboot. This is the one card I still don't understand at this point why it even is hit in the first place. Now you can see that Altgeist will become strong. A lot of decks that actually utilize trap cards will definitely become a lot stronger, and Red Reboot had no reason to actually be hit on the ban list, so seeing it at 1, I really don't understand why it shouldn't be hit at all. It should be at 3. Because at this point, there's a particular deck that might actually become tier 1, maybe even tier 0, and that is Harvey's. The reason why is because of Harvey's Feather Storm, a trap card that is not limited to hard ones per turn, and you can pretty much play it from the hand as well, as long as you're playing a Harvey deck, of course. And the whole purpose of that card is pretty much just to lock down your opponent's monsters for the whole turn. I mean, honestly, what's the difference with that and Azathoth? There really isn't. If anything, it's stronger than Azathoth. So I could easily see Harpy's actually making a comeback. But that being said, Red Reboot, really a shame to see that the ban list chose to hit this card of all things. Moving on to the semi-limit list, we have Deep Sea Diva, we have Tour Guide, and we have Mind Control. Now, Deep Sea Diva and Tour Guide both were limited, so seeing it come back, it's going to be very fun. Obviously, this is to promote the new formats, the new master rules, so very excited about these two cards. However, Mind Control, definitely one of the weirdest hits. It was at 3, now it's at 2. I mean, why not just hit it to 1? It doesn't make sense. Again, with this card, it's just really odd that they're actually doing this, because when it comes to Mind Control, 2 and 3 is not going to make that big of a difference, and I don't know if I should sell off my 3rd copy of Mind Control now, because I have a playset and the chances are it might come back anyway, so I might as well keep it, right? Who knows, but just a big guess there. However, that being said, with so many cards actually going on to the ban list, there were plenty of cards that actually also came off the ban list, and this is something that I am really happy about. And like I said in many different analysis videos, I want to see more cards come off the ban list, and we have a huge list here. So Dark Arm Dragon coming off made sense. It should have came back to 3 ages ago, but at this point, I guess it's going to be really fun to see what happens. Lady Debug coming back to 3, that is going to again re-strengthen Salamangreat again after the loss of Mirage Thalio, so hopefully it can make some sort of impact again. But that being said, very happy that I could play 3 of them in Cyverse again. That would definitely be very fun. Morphing Jar 2, Morphing Jar number 2 from ban to actually 3, that is going to be very insane. Empty jar decks will definitely be very, I guess, prominent in this particular upcoming format here. So not a particularly fun deck to go up against, but that being said, what can you do? Next we have Damage Juggler. I mean, at this point it's not really that big of a deal for it to actually be hit, so seeing it come back, that's perfectly fine. Tribe Infecting Virus, I get why it could come back because it's a little bit of a slow card these days, so it's not going to make too much of an impact, and I really doubt that there is any necessity to errata the card at all as well. It seems like a pretty slow card, so I don't see too many big impacts, but it is going to be used in water, so it'd be more so as that extra gimmick that you could use, or that extra utility. Of course, we already talked about Kagari coming back, but no big deal because Engage was already banned. We have Book of Moon coming back to 3, that will be definitely very fun. We also have the Rank Up Magic launch, Phantom Knights as well. That will be a really fun card to play. Pretty much the new Azathoth is Kali Yuga, and I really hope they don't hit Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is still, I think, a very appropriate card, and if anything, if you're going to hit it, maybe hit it to 1. That way you only lock out your opponent for 1 turn, but if anything, Kali Yuga should not be banned at all. I really don't think that's the case here. Then we have Solemn Warning. That's going to also be very fun as well. I think Solemn Judgment came off the ban list, if I'm not mistaken. Solemn Judgment should be at 3, so it definitely makes a lot of sense for Solemn Warning to also come back at 3. I mean, at this point, you don't want to play too many life points. I mean, yeah, life points are merely just a resource, and as long as you have 1 life point, you can still play. But with Solemn Warning being pay 2,000, it's definitely a bigger deal than Solemn Judgment in terms of taking away your life. So will I see people playing 3? So far I have not seen people playing 3. Only the ones that are really bold and want to actually go completely out of the box here, but I don't see that being the case. And Soul Drain, like I said, Soul Drain is not too big of a deal as well, coming back to 3. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this whole list. Very big changes. As a result, this video has been getting a bit long now, so I'm going to try and cap it off here. So yeah, tell me what you guys actually thought about this as of this current particular situation right now. What cards did you want to actually come off the ban list, and what cards did you guys want to see on the ban list? However, that being said, I'm very excited for the upcoming format, particularly in April, which is still quite a bit of time away from now. So yeah, that's it for now. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.